Hello viewers, it's a wonderful morning coming to you from our studios on Kairaba Avenue. I am Ibrahim Balde. Thanks for joining us, and I'm joined on the platform by my boss himself.
By your co-host Geneva
By my
Sonko.
co-host.
Or am I Ade Darame
Mr.
today?
Ade. I mean, today he's pretending to be Ibrahim Balde.
You're Geneva, I'm Ibrahim Balde.
You know?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, so good morning, Mr.
Always
Ade.
a pleasure to be here.
Yeah.
Always.
And our newspaper review guest is no other than Mr. Malika. He's already in the studios with us. Good morning, Mr. Ka.
Hey, good morning, Mr. Balde.
How are you? How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. It's always refreshing to have that early morning rain. You know, it gives a lot of smile, and it's lovely. Yeah, lovely,
absolutely.
Lovely start.
Well, I had a lot of people complaining about the too much of rains that we are experiencing now.
Yeah.
You know, but I said
this morning was heavy. It was very heavy. I mean, I was using my wipers at full tilt, and I couldn't see more than 10 meters in front of me. That's how heavy it was from turntable to Senegambia. It was seriously.
You know, it's worse in Libya. I don't know whether you've seen the stories. Libya is inundated. About 2,000 people died.
Have drowned. Yeah.
So that is how serious it is. It goes to really reaffirm climate change that is subject of discussion recently in Kenya. So there is a lot of changes in the weather pattern, and it's reflecting in what human activities cause.
As Malik says, if you see the pictures from the city of Misrata, it's, you know, high, almost covering some cars in the streets, and they said they've never had anything like that before. Like seriously.
Well, you're talking about rain, and I am a bit surprised because it didn't rain around my area. You know,
so I heard from some people.
It rained heavily at your end.
Very heavily.
You know, even a drop of water I didn't see at my. So that is what it is. But I mean, I think climate change is also contributing to this. I mean, most of the time, you know, world leaders will gather at a particular place every year and do the COP 26, 27. Now we 28. I think we're going for COP 28 in Dubai.
Yes.
Yes, it was COP 27 in Egypt, and now we're going to Dubai again. But at the end of the time, I think they should come up with at least possible solutions that will try to mitigate some of these things, Mr. Ka.
Yeah.
Well, they have to, because now it's evident. Even the naysayers or those that climate, you know, deniers, you know, would recognize that there is something different that is happening now. There is nature has become more violent. You know, we are seeing the tornadoes getting more violent, the fires, you know, that is impacted America, Australia, and Europe as well. And the rains, you know, the intensity, the depth. So there is a lot of changes that is happening due to carbon emission and a lot of other things. And most of it really, the third world is, in relative terms, very innocent. We are not emitting as much as the developed world is, because they are highly industrialized. China, America are the main polluters. And we, what they agreed in Kenya, I think they would farm to that, is that they ought to pay for it, you know, because we are suffering because of their actions. So therefore there has to be...
It's more than that they ought to pay. It's a case of, at COP27, these big countries got together and said they would pay $100 billion US. That's a lot of money. Towards helping the poorer nations, the least developed nations that were suffering, and yet they've paid almost none of it. You know, a year or two on. So essentially, what they were saying is that, you know, if you make these pledges publicly, then let it not just be a kind of photo opportunity. Live up to those pledges, because we're the ones who are suffering. And the big debate that was also there, and one that could impact the likes of the Gambia, and we have to bring this home, is that they're trying to stop those African countries and are trying to drill for oil, because they are trying to move away from fossil fuels. So some of these African countries, and Gambia might be saying this in a year or two's time, no, if we get oil and we make 50 billion or 100 billion a year from it, that could help us change this country. Look at what it's done for those Arab countries that have benefited from oil, and other countries that have benefited from oil. So why shouldn't we? Why should we stop because you have been the ones who have benefited.
You've been
and
drilling
you've also
for a long
polluted.
time.
And yeah, you've been drilling for a long time. Now you're trying to tell us to stop from drilling. So that was a big debate in Nairobi.
Well, I mean, even the COP26 in the UK, I mean, most of these, I mean, countries that contribute to, you know, the emission of, I mean,
Greenhouse gases,
these people, most of them did not turn out. I mean, they did not even attend some of the discussions at the COP26 in UK. So it was really serious.
It's a case of action speak louder
Yeah,
than
but
words.
the reality still remains that we all live in one world.
Yeah.
So whatever you do in A will impact C or D. So therefore, they must take it seriously. The money they pledge is not necessarily for us, it's for humanity.
Yep.
So they must have to live up to that, also looking at addressing the issues that are the, you know, primary causes of this experience that we are going through in terms of climate change. The violence of it, it's terrible. 2,000 people just yesterday lost their lives in Libya. That's a huge amount of people. That equates to like the earthquake that happened. So you can imagine.
in Morocco,
That's how bad it is.
It is serious. People are taking it lightly, but I mean, it is very serious.
I don't think they're taking it lightly exactly. It's just that the commitment is almost as, you know, we realize there's a threat, or some of us do, and those who can help make a difference aren't stepping up to do what needs to be done to make that difference. And some of it means, you know, putting some money into it, to, you know, mitigation efforts, you know, planting where there's erosion and so on, you know, soil erosion. So it's like, you know, you go to some countries, including here, where people mine sand, you know, eventually that's going to come back and haunt us, because we're not replacing it with anything, you know. And where the sea was here, you've taken all the sand from here, it's now here, and my house is here, and, you know, and eventually you take some more, it's there. So, you know, we also contribute, even in these small countries.
And some of our main forests, such as the rainforest
Forest
in
cover.
Brazil, and these have to be protected.
In Brazil, it became quite a contentious election issue, because when Bolsonaro was there, he told them, go ahead and cut, you know, cut your timber and so on. So when Lula came back and won, he stopped all of that. And that, of course, has created enemies, because the guys who are making billions from it, of course, they don't like it.
Ruto almost did that as well, you know, in Kenya. I'm like, you can't, you know, don't touch the forest, you know, I understand.
Absolutely. So, I mean, let's don't forget about our African quote today.
How can we forget?
Yes, it reads, dirty water doesn't prevent plants from growing. Dirty water doesn't prevent plants from growing, Mr. Carr.
It means you cannot hide good deeds, no matter what you do. So dirty water doesn't prevent plants from growing. Just because the water is dirty, just because you want to, you know, cover something that is good, it's not possible. You cannot cover your palm with the rays of the sun. It's useless. So there are certain things. It doesn't matter what you do, the truth will come to prevail.
It will always prevail.
So you say the truth may tarry, but it shall never go astray. So
totally in sync with what Malik has said. You know, if somebody is a good person and they've done good deeds, somebody may come and try and tarnish their name. They won't be able to do it. They might do it for a while, but as he says, you know, after a while, the truth will come out that, no, this person is a good person, and they have done good deeds. So, you know, we take it away from the literal one about the dirty water, but, you know, we're trying to dirty somebody's name, as it were, by saying, no, they're not what they seem to be. And then, no, they're good. They did this, they did that, they did that. So the truth will come out. So, you know.
That happens in legacies as well, like head of states, maybe by the time you are in power, a lot of things can happen, people judge you, but into the future they realize that this person, you know, was a good person after all, if you come to assess that, because at the period at which you are there, people will judge you, they will be very harsh, but after, they will take time to reflect and look at what you have done, the positive aspects, weigh it against the negative, and realize that.
It's telling you hard work pays off all the time. I mean, you just need to be focused and work very hard. No matter what obstacles you face, at the end of the time, you will reap the fruit of your labor. It will come, no matter what, you know. Absolutely. Just keep working. Well, we'll take a short break. After the break, then, we have some newspaper stories here that we'll be reviewing.
And some international stories.
And some international stories. Yeah. Yes, we'll be right back.
Technology has always been at the forefront of our lives. It promises to transform the way we live, work, and play. 5G internet is capable of providing data speeds up to 100 times faster than 4G, making it the ideal solution for streaming high-quality videos, playing online games, and downloading large files on the go. 5G internet is already transforming cities across the globe, powering smart cities, self-driving cars, and virtual reality experiences that were once thought impossible. 5G internet is also paving the way for Internet of Things, allowing for seamless connectivity between devices and the creation of a truly connected world. For the first time in the Gambia, QCell is bringing tomorrow's technology to you today with the launch of QCell 5G Internet. Get ready to experience the out-of-this-world wonders of QCell's 5G Internet. For more information, call 111. QCell. We innovate, others follow.
The future.
Welcome back from that break. Now we will, take a look at some of the stories that we have. And let's start with our neighbor, Senegal. There was a lot of commotion in Senegal the past months, and, people were fearing, some of them, those who didn't want Macky Sall to go for third term, were fearing that, he might go for third term, because of certain comments that they didn't understand. But now we've seen last week, he's finally mentioned the man that is going to steer the affairs of his party. That's Benno Boko Yakar, so by the name Amadou Ba.
The Premier Minister.
Exactly. So I think that's a positive step. At least he is not clinging to the third term, as we all know how things work sometimes in other African countries. Mr. Carr.
Yeah, it's good, but that is within their party, and we expect that other candidates will emerge also to contest the elections. Unfortunately, Sonko, one of the prominent opposition leaders, is excluded for now. They're probably having a lot of behind-the-scene negotiations, and it would have been really ideal to allow him to participate so that the Senegalese people can determine who their president is. But this Amadou Ba, the one that is going to represent Benno Boko Yakar, he's a very experienced politician. He was the head of what they call the GRA in Senegal, equivalent to our GRA. And also he was at one time the Minister of Finance. He was also the Minister of Foreign Affairs. So he's got a journey, a political journey that really demonstrates that he definitely is somebody that they expect would perform in the upcoming elections.
Yes, before we proceed, let's take a look at that video from Senegal, then we'll be back.
Yeah, and do we have sound on it?
Amadou Ba, c'est le premier ministre du Sénégal, chef du gouvernement du Sénégal, responsable de l'Alliance pour la République. Amadou Ba nag ñu ngi ko nommé chef du gouvernement septembre 2022 gannaaw ba mu ñu ko dugalee ci li nga xam ne moom mooy liste législative yi à la numéro 2 mu démissionné de son poste de député jël li nga xam ne moom mooy les rênes du gouvernement du Sénégal moom nag son retour moo marqué sa nomination moo marqué le retour du poste de premier ministre waaye balaa muy nekk chef du gouvernement moom Amadou Ba dafa occupé beaucoup de postes depuis 2013 dans les différents gouvernements du président de la République Macky Sall mu def son entrée dans l'attelage gouvernemental en avril 2013 en tant que ministre de l'économie et des finances boobu pàccaguñu woon li nga xam ne moom mooy ministère bi ndax léegi ñaari wàll la économie ci benn côté bi finance ci benn côté bi moom nag mu nekk ministre de l'économie et des finances ba avril 2019 avril 2019 c'est-à-dire après la présidentielle de 2019 mu intégré waat gouvernement bi nga xam ne taxawal nañu ko mu nekk fa nag ministre des affaires étrangères d'avril 2019 à novembre 2020 novembre 2020 nag dafa marqué un déclic un tournant dans sa carrière et dans son parcours auprès du président de la République ñuy fàttali ko nag ba ñu moom ñoom Mohamed Boun Abdallah Dionne Maxime Jean Simon Ndiaye Matar Cissé Ali Ngouille et tant d'autres bi ñu leen génne ci gouvernement bi nekkoon na un séisme le président venait de se départir des caciques de son.
Yes, we are back, and that's a video from 7 TV in Senegal. Yes, exactly. Giving us update. That's sure. Amadou Ba's biography.
Sure.
You know,
and
so it's going
the
through
reason why they have made the announcement is that once Macky Sall had said he wasn't going to contest a third term, there was a lot of speculation that there would be infighting within his party as to who effectively his successor as the front runner for the presidential candidacy would be. And so he's made that announcement to kind of remove all the kind of the doubt and the sort of politicking that can go on, where people can say, oh, it's not gone without controversy because people are saying that the party should have voted, not him kind of crowning a successor. So even though he's emerged in that sense, it wasn't that there was a party convention and this person was chosen. So it has come with a bit of controversy. And I guess hopefully the others now will get behind him, because that's what Macky Sall has asked. That,
exactly.
I want you all to get behind and support this man.
Yeah, before they declare him as the party candidate, during that push and pull in Senegal, I've had a lot of people mention his name before even seeing him. I didn't know him before. People were saying, okay, maybe it's going to be Amadou Ba because he's more like a right hand to Macky Sall, sort of, so this is what people were saying. So when his name emerged, I wasn't surprised because I heard his name, many a times, Mr. Ka. He must have a lot of experience.
Well, you heard.
Yeah, he does. You must understand that this is a coalition government, and that is why it's called Benno Bokk Yakaar. Within the coalition, Macky also is leading the APR, that is his own political party. So what they are expecting is like they present a unified candidate, but already there are some breakaways. There is one or two of them that have decided, to back off and get out of the equation and probably go and look for their own luck, but now that it's settled, then we're waiting to see who are the other contestants that are coming into the arena. Is this Wade, former President Wade's son, is he going to be in the ring? Is Halifa Sall, the former mayor of Dakar, going to be in the ring? Ousmane Sonko, still incarcerated, is he going to be in the ring? So there are a lot of things, and it's just around the corner in February. So there is a lot of things happening in Senegal, which naturally is of interest to us because we are right in the middle of Senegal. So anything that is happening there politically would be a matter of interest to us. So we are monitoring and observing as to the developments, as to what is happening. But also we are also mindful that there could be fracture within their own social fabric because of the Sonko factor. And so they would be able to elaborate more as to the things that they're doing.
Because today or tomorrow, Senegalese supporters of Ousmane Sonko's party have said that they're going to take to the streets to bang loudly pots and pans as a protest over 700 mainly young men who are currently incarcerated for rioting. Because if one remembers, or even if you don't remember, there were these riots that broke out in support of Ousmane Sonko, in which 21 people were killed. And as well as rioting for the right for him not to be arrested, they caused some looting, they caused some damage, and unfortunately the police and the paramilitaries responded with lethal force and 21 people were killed. So as well as those 21 killed, 700, they say, are still incarcerated. Some of them are being processed through the courts, but they want them released. So they're going to take to the streets across the country, banging pots and pans as their protest against things. I mean, what Sonko and his supporters have been quite good at doing since 2019 is mobilizing support on the streets and on social media. We mustn't forget that if Sonko were to contest and win, it will be one of the most stunning turnarounds ever anywhere. Why do I say that? In the last election, he got 13%. That's 1-3. To go from 13% to winning, boy, that is some jump. And if you look at it, even if Macky Sall's party coalition is fractured, almost nobody in that coalition would vote for Sonko if he were allowed to run. And of course, he's contesting the fact that they're trying to disqualify him. But he's been very good at the media game and the social media game. But if he were to go from 13% to winning the presidency, that would be one of the most stunning.
That could be, considering the nature of the selecting or electing, they have a second round. And normally, if you look at Macky Sall in the first instance, he was within that margin of 15% up to 17. And in the second round, he was able to form a coalition with other forces. So in Senegal, because of the 50+1 that is required, you can always go to second round depending on how many you mobilize to come on board with you. You can translate that into a win if you come second, even if it is a small margin. So that is possible. He came
third the last time.
So that is possible, because I don't know if Idris Seck's showing would be as good as it was the first, because Sonko's momentum is really evident. You can hear the chantings, the Sonko Namanala. There is this anthem that they sing for him in football matches and all over. So he have that momentum, but how does that translate into votes? Like
exactly.
That's the magic word. Because
that is
Bobby Wine in Uganda, Peter Obi in Nigeria, they had exactly the same. Youths came out, they chanted, they took the streets, the obedience as they call them in Nigeria. They swamped Lagos. Lowest ever turnout in voting in Nigerian history in the last elections. Shocking for all the noise, all the wahala.
Well, the case of Uganda, I mean, at some point I thought Bobby Wine is going to win the election.
Because if you get swayed by crowds and noise on social media, then Peter Obi the same. Peter Obi the same in Nigeria. If we were swayed by that, then, these people look like they're going to win. And we've seen it. I could name 10 places where this has happened. In Sierra Leone with Kande Yumkela, it was the same before the 2017 election. Everybody thought he was going to sweep the board. He was the only person, because he's articulate, he was the only one that the Western media wanted to interview. I mean, he's really good with words and so on. He got 3%.
It's unpredictable. Elections sometimes, it involves a lot, Mr. Carr. I mean, a lot of combination efforts to be able to win an election.
It does. The dynamics, you cannot tell, but what you can do is, what Africa needs to do now is be able to have that transition that is peaceful, and let everybody come with their own agenda, their manifesto, sell it to the people, and let the process be free and fair, then the outcome be respected. If we have that consistently, then we will start registering a lot of development. It means the person that is elected is the chosen person by the majority of people, then that person will be allowed to govern. But if you are having disputes about elections all the time, here and there, it's always the case in Africa. There is always disputes and challenges. So it shows our lack of maturity or our lack of faith in the institutions that govern the whole process. Those are the things that we have to work hard on to ensure that the independent electoral commissions, I don't think Senegal does have that. I think it's still under the Ministry of Interior that supervises elections. They need to devolve from that and have what we have now. That used to be the case in the Gambia, but now we have an IEC. Then the IEC can invite independent observers, then the whole process monitored by all the stakeholders, from the word go to the conclusion, then we can be able to say that, you know, the process was free and fair, and the outcome is the choice of the people.
Sure. Let me defend Africa here. Malik said, you know, in Africa, we still have an ex-president in America who's claiming he won the last election, and millions of his supporters still believe the same. And before that, when he won, Hillary Clinton said that there'd been fraud and that the Russians had helped, Trump to win. So, you know, contesting elections and trying to besmirch an election victory is not just an African thing anymore. It's a worldwide thing. I mean, I can name many elections that we've covered on QTV News around the world where people have been, you know, there's been a dispute about, you know, saying, oh, this is rigged, it's fixed, it's stolen, and so on. It seems to be something in the air now across the world, that people no longer just accept the will of the people. They will always try and besmirch somebody's election victory and said, oh, you cheated, or you manipulated, or you this, you that. So we have to get used to it, sadly.
Well, at some point, I think in most African countries, they, I mean, took that as a normal trend. I mean, if you could remember Nigeria, it's recently they threw away that from the, you know, outside the courts. I mean, they were also not very convinced with the election results.
The most famous cases, of course, Malawi and Kenya. Malawi, more than anywhere, because the president had been in office for a year.
For a year, yeah.
Before the case was settled. And the courts ordered a rerun, and he lost.
And he lost the election.
Yeah, so it can happen. And he accepted. He accepted that.
You know, that's what we are saying. Once the process is free and fair, and the outcome respected, then it's good. That's all that we want. Let the institutions function, but let them be just and fair. But then it can only happen if the stakeholders take interest and ownership. You cannot stand back until the whole process ends. You start challenging and say, oh, A, B, C, and D before. You know, come on, that's nonsense.
I'm glad Malik said that, because a country that we have a lot of links with, Sierra Leone, I mean, up to now, the opposition have not taken their seats in the parliament, in the House of Representatives. And what's interesting about that is that in the lead up to the elections, they had told their supporters not to register to vote, because they said that the change in the fact that it was no longer constituencies, it was by, you know, proportional representation, which we'd only ever used once before, and that was after the war. They said this was going to disadvantage them. And so you had the funny situation where they told their supporters not to register, and then when they lost, they complained. It's like,
so they should
you should not have participated if you're encouraging your supporters not to register. So it's a curious one. So international mediators have gone to Sierra Leone, and they're going to meet the president, they're going to meet the opposition. So you've had people like the Commonwealth Secretariat,
American government as well.
American government, because the outgoing ambassador, he was very political. I mean, he said that he felt there had been fraud in the election. I mean, he was very blunt. Well, he was leaving, so I guess he could say that. Which people were saying, oh, you know, this is not what you should be saying in your diplomatic post, you're taking sides. And he said, no, I'm speaking as an observer. I was not happy with what I saw. It was not free, it was not fair, and the result was highly contentious. I mean, I don't know, 10 weeks since the election, whatever it is, and it's only this week that the Electoral Commission have released some of the results from individual places. That has never happened before. So obviously people think there's something fishy going on. So yeah.
Okay, all right. The president says, I mean, plans on the way for every young Gambian to serve government through NYSS.
Sadly, I think you're no longer within the young Gambian.
I'm more than 35 now.
But it's an interesting one. I'm sure Malik will have something to say about it. But just very quickly, I mean, one of the things, because we covered this event where the president spoke, where 100 people were being inducted into National Youth Service Scheme. One of the things they said was that in the future, they want people who are graduates, particularly, to have done at least 1 year of this service before they will be eligible for jobs in the civil service. So that was quite a statement, and that's quite a change. So yeah, I mean, it's coming, and it has many good things to commend it, and they have it in other countries.
Well, let's talk about the implementation part, Mr. Carr. At some point, implementation becomes our problem as a country. We make rules, make laws.
I mean, they have a new ministry designated purposely for that. And that was created, Minister of Public Service.
Public Service, that's right. Yeah.
And he's very experienced.
Yep.
And he's very focused on the job. I met him, and he told me that he really wants to make sure that all these structures are put in place. So, and it's a good thing to equip our youth with skills. And if they do it rightly and get it right, I think it can have some positive results. But it has to be done properly. They have to have the VETs, the vocational training centers. They have to have, you know, a well-structured curriculum that is addressing our skill gaps, the things that we need. So if they have that, and they process a lot of youth that would not have been able to afford to go to the level of acquiring any skill training, then it's good. They can make good use of it. I think it happened in Nigeria.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're still using that same formula. You have to before you have any.
Yes.
Yeah, you do a year.
Yeah, jump into the.
And other countries have it. I mean, in the Gambia on Saturday or Friday, whenever it was, 100 people took the oath, and they are being deployed in various security sector. So we're talking about, you know, how are we going to implement it? What they want to do is that people will be deployed in various sectors, as Malik says, particularly if we deploy them in areas where there is a gap, there's a skills gap, we have to then equip them with the tools, which is, I guess, what you're talking about when you say implementation.
Yes.
We shouldn't just come up with it. And the reason I'm glad you said that is because recently we've been discussing lots of things that we've come up with, that we've taken on board, and then implementation has let us down. So the Access to Information Act, it's now 2 years old. Nobody has made a single request, and yet by law we can. Why? Because the tools are not there for you to make the request and for the request to be responded to. So we need to do more than just talk about these things. We need to think sensibly about how are we going to implement it.
I think you should invite Mr. Boyd, the minister responsible for public service and all these changes that are going through that he's creating, so that we can have the conversation ongoing. Then he'll be able to elaborate as to, you know, what the intention or the strategy.
For him to be here will be very important, because he will be able to take us through a lot of things. I mean, so we would contact him.
And it's a great suggestion there, because I think if he came on a platform such as this, there are many people out there, young people, who they don't know exactly how the scheme works. They know vaguely because of what they heard. For example, like the news report we did at the weekend, they would have seen that, but that was only 3 minutes, 20 seconds long, you know. But if you had the minister here explaining the whole ethos behind it, because the president in his speech said something about why they've come up with it, why they've revived it, because it's not new. I mean, 1996 was when initially it came into the Gambia, and then it kind of died away. They've revived it, and you know, why have they revived it, and how do they intend to implement it? It'll be great.
Than that, during Jawara, it used to be called the President Award Scheme, and it metamorphosed. But it wasn't that broad.
I thought the President's Award Scheme was closer to the Duke of Edinburgh scheme, a kind of
but
thing
the streamline was similar to but it was not like universal.
It was a very famous, I mean, group, the President.
That one I was aware of.
It had links with them as well. They used to support them, the President. But what I'm saying is, if they broaden it, make it more universal, you know, so that they can capture, their catchment area would be very wide, you know, very universal. I think it would make a huge difference. But let's try and engage and see if Mr. Boyd, Minister, would be available in one of our platforms, either on the morning show or one-to-one, you know, and then be able to elaborate on this.
Exactly. So I think we need to let Mr. Carr go now. I think we kept him more than, I mean.
Thank you very much.
All right, Mr. Carr, thank you very much for, I mean, reviewing some of these stories with us on this platform. And viewers will take a short break. We're supposed to have the Gambia Club Foot Association.
I was going to say, you're letting Mr. Carr go, but
unfortunately, they called and said they wouldn't be able to make it. That's the information that I've received. Right. So we'll go straight to the click segment. We have a video that will be playing. We'll be right back.
Gambia boy dengan TV lil kal music, billahi, I'm not joking. People Gambia. Yeah, I'm not joking. Because I know the problem. Music, come pour Gambian, they won't understand. They find me because what happened with Gambia, same problem. Your music, see, I'm not jumping, right? Oh, prim param bi rek nekku fa. Understand nga? But music message la day joxe déglu leen message bi. Boy bi déglu leen message am
bandi di jow loolu may dëgga kaani la sa rap bi ndaa bés ni ki tey wax leen ko amina dugga si jàkka sànni fa kabar julli naafi la bu gaa yi tonne jàkk ba gis ma imam bi ñaali na nga may xeex man may sul sa nàkk sa bunti nekk bay man la neex ma may sa rap mu mos tuuti egg ki ñaata làkka te musta tukki dee ak ñaata nit la dee daf ko sa poos noonu du guddi yee dama leen xeeb su dee dos la mutuñ ma wan pat journal lu bëri moo tax may làcce kan la ban cat man dooma yekkal lu mel ni xam ne ñuy àndaat même su ma la fese yow du tax nga musa am bat kañu rak yaa ko ote tu duuma la kañu rap ndax nga am si bu tut wala mu ne map smiling coast bi bu muuma la ndoo bu amut ñaas amut cus man bu guuma la kaal bii rut te every time maa ngi deliver yang si suuf fi lu fi clean maa ko tilimal man la birima firi la pare iri la ibi na daanu ba coole mu naan ma nikki la xippi ma kilifa tuuti jox la si iji ba guddi na ëllëg nga laajte ñu ne la ñibbi na gende si àll ku ko fekk mu def la ci kanam may ma jàlla fi ku la mag konteel ko sikki maam kaal may gende si àll bi duma lobbu sooy lu ma nga ka foog mu drop maam kaal li may rap si mbedd mi dëgër la du noy defal sa jàmm si sa poos maam kaal ak li fu safut ma sàppali foog ma sëgg jooy parce que léegi maa fi top maam kaal maam kaal maam kaal fekk may nalaw ngeen cuxuma ma jox leen adiya ayatul kursi ak ixlaas salaatul fatiha yaa ma daxa rap no bro loolu kàcci la maa fi gën a baat gën a hard indi gambi teg li ndrooni simili jëmale ma simi sa bikini dama nga laajte ma kiliti dem ba si posi man fala ma jëli ni wala ma tam bi ak city bi benn si ground ma génne leen si biti amu leen baas te amu leen fiti bi suqi sa laaf doon nawati biti fin hip hop bi dëkku jolof waay fi lay dee ni mongo bak fo képp ki rap si olof ngay déglu dëgër o bongo maaga yu di déglu oyof di jéem a ñoddi yu bomb clair ku dugga si man torox nga seen ma taxaw ni pornographe man ak al def collabo mais ko gars yi jonkoon si toilette bi nañ ko labo ay 0 doomi njaago lu mbëggeel di jaay jënd naa ko laaj ko maabo maam kaal may génne si àll bi duma lobbu sooy lu ma nga ka foog mu drop maam kaal li may rap si mbedd mi dëgër la du noy defal sa jàmm si sa poos maam kaal ak li fu ndóobu amut ñaas amut cus man bu guuma la kaal bii rut te every time maa ngi deliver yang si suuf fi lu fi clean maa ko tilimal man la birima firi la pare iri la ibi na daanu ba coole mu naan ma nikki la xippi ma kilifa tuuti jox la si iji ba guddi na ëllëg nga laajte ñu ne la ñibbi na gende si àll ku ko fekk mu def la ci kanam may ma jàlla fi ku la mag konteel ko sikki maam kaal may gende si àll bi duma lobbu sooy lu ma nga ka foog mu drop maam kaal li may rap si mbedd mi dëgër la du noy defal sa jàmm si sa poos maam kaal ak li fu safut ma sàppali foog ma sëgg jooy parce que léegi maa fi top maam kaal maam kaal fekk may nalaw ngeen cuxuma ma jox leen adiya ayatul kursi ak ixlaas salaatul fatiha yaa ma daxa rap no bro loolu kàcci la maa fi gën a baat gën a hard indi gambi teg li ndrooni simili jëmale ma simi sa bikini dama nga laajte ma kiliti dem ba si posi man fala ma jëli ni wala ma tam bi ak city bi benn si ground ma génne leen si biti amu leen baas te amu leen fiti bi suqi sa laaf doon nawati biti fin hip hop bi dëkku jolof waay fi lay dee ni mongo bak fo képp ki rap si olof ngay déglu dëgër o bongo maaga yu di déglu oyof di jéem a ñoddi yu bomb clair ku dugga si man torox nga seen ma taxaw ni pornographe man ak al def collabo mais ko gars yi jonkoon si toilette bi nañ ko labo ay 0 doomi njaago lu mbëggeel di jaay jënd naa ko laaj ko maabo maam kaal may génne si àll bi duma lobbu sooy lu ma nga ka foog mu drop maam kaal li may rap si mbedd mi dëgër la du noy defal sa jàmm si sa poos maam kaal ak li fu safut ma sàppali foog ma sëgg jooy parce que léegi maa fi top maam kaal maam kaal
Yeah, we're back, and you are watching QTV this morning, and now we are going to the click segment, and
we are indeed, and we're all looking forward to this.
Exactly. We need to go look at some hot point lines, and I have my brother Chochel Balde.
What's up?
Chochel, what's up? What's going on, bro?
Tey moom American.
All of a sudden,
bro.
he's gone Yankee.
I'm doing good, yourself?
Yeah, man.
Okay, I'm happy to be here. It's your man right here, Churchill Balde. But before I go further, I just want to send shout outs to my fashion plug, Boor Fashion Plug. He hooked me up with this.
And for 1 minute, I thought it was your boss, Bori, but it's Boor.
Yeah, because it's written Boor, and my money is Buri. So it's still in the same line.
Man, dohut dara. Living with drip bi dohut.
Drip bangi leeru boy. Hana gisoo dara. Christian Dio. Da hamlo yi boy. Hamlo yi. Yo do soli.
Man pala.
I know, right? Anyways, on the Click segment today, I'm joined by one of the most controversial upcoming artists, and he goes by the name Lil Carl. This guy is just with dissing people. Anyways, my bad news are fancy out there.
Yeah, assalamu alaikum Gambia. I should do Lil Carl now boy. Hamga the new yo churches, the news my uncle talk for you. Should do Lil Carl. Y'all know how the vibe.
Wow, vibe right now, because I'm loving the camouflage in your head. Because so by elements actually green, so 10 years. Nice. So yo, listening to your songs, understand? Kula Digga, it's very hardcore. While Kula Guess, you are very calm and chill.
Sure.
Understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Explain these two personalities. Come,
yeah.
Tile New York, for that.
Yeah, I'm fucking come like sumaware hat. Obviously, this is my music.
Okay.
Come no mel in passing, what my define 100% come nakala mel so music.
As an artist.
Yeah, I understand. Because my message like jala let it.
Okay.
Lol what to change the fact ne come Mohammed ni la mel. Mohammed la tura. So
nice.
Dama wara dam.
Nice.
Dama wara jaar si yoon bu baax bi daal.
True.
Yeah, no for them.
So yo, la mo inspire pour nga dugg into music.
Yeah, kuma inspire the late DJ Kala yalla suuf sere si ko mom suma cousin brother la muy won Star FM.
Okay.
Mom inspire because like time bo mom mo ñu daan play dubs instrument time bo non.
Okay.
Mo daf daan over difficult pour ñu am instrument yu demee non so mom daf daan ñëw di ñu play beats ñuy flow si ko di teg yenn saa ñu teg di bay dem off beat xam of my
I know, yeah.
Demee non so mom bokk na si gën a play xam nga part si suñ carrière so bro ma ngi laa wax ne comme xam nga foo neexoon noonu yàlla na suuf sere sa ko always ma ngi laa ñaanal bro.
Yeah, R.I.P.
Yeah man.
So how long have you been doing music?
Yeah, man, bu ma amee 13 years. Yeah, ma amee 13 years ba léegi because man dama yàgg si cypher bi man dama cypher ba daay ma cypher ba.
Waaw loolu moo tax yow classe rek. Waaw yeah, I know.
Man classe rek.
Moom classe rek.
Man dañ ma dee classe. Dañ ma dee classe.
Waaw bana dinañ àgg si loolu.
Yeah man, so dama cypher loolu xam nga play na a huge part suma career bi because ñoom the likes of xam nga ñoom Killer Ace ak yi noonu ñoom MC Killer ak xam nga koto yi leen daan bàyyi xel time bu ñu nekkee ndaw xam nga loolu moo tax comme xam nga rap bu hard bi nga ko dee gis si man ak yi demee noonu. Yeah, because dama ko grind si street bi, you know.
And is it something loo xam ne comme sa waajur yi dañ ko séntu si yow bu gaa yi toogee gis la yaa ngi def music? Is it something loo xam ne dañ ko receive?
Yeah, at the beginning it was kind of, you know, difficult for me because maa ngi doon dem school xam nga ba pare at age balaa nekkee di wax noonu by then xam nga suma mère ak suma dad bi xam nga approving daal bagage appreciating ko by then but after then xam nañ ne comme waaw boy bi lii la bëgg ba pare sax balaa ma stay consistent si music bi sax maa ngi doon job ak suma dad bi xam nga yet still sama job ak dad bi si port bi.
Oh,
as clearing agent, yeah.
Okay, so music is like a side hustle. I'm got job, but I'm going to tahu apa
Yeah. My own job, but I'm going to def my clearing agent.
Clearing agent at the port. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, because the thing is, music career la. Understand what I mean? If they want to build, why? Baranga aga fufu non tamit. Lots of sacrifices financially, especially the finance aspect of it.
For real.
Understand what I mean? So yo. Yaa ngi jëlee dara si music right now comme am na loo si nekk di génn especially when it comes to monetary values.
Yeah. Alhamdulillah comme yow am nga maa ngi am a little bit comme lu ma yàlla wërsëgal daal si music bi comme waa at least loo xamante ne mu ma fàttali yeneen bunta. Not 100% though.
Okay.
Waaw but ñu ngi si am lu ndaw because maa ngi last year defoon naa show si park bi Serekunda East.
Okay.
And it was 100% successful.
Nice.
Xam nga thanks to all of my fans out there comme xam nga yéen a tax bagage yi demee noonu Nema City Latrikunda Fajikunda xam nga.
Okay.
Si park bi East xam nga fa.
Yeah, xam naa.
Yeah, it was massively successful.
Nice.
Yeah.
So since boo doolee music ba léegi ñaata projects nga put out there when it comes to album wala EP or mixtapes?
No, yet drop my album but my work towards that.
Okay.
Drop na EP that was last year, Half Human, Half Devil.
Oh, half human, half
devil. Yeah,
half human half devil lo moo nekk sa la latest project bi
waaw boobu moo nekkoon suma debut project.
okay
yeah.
so no nga doon introduce sa bopp into the music scene.
Wow. And it went viral xam nga comme gars yi daf leen jaaxaloon daal comme saa lu mu bëgg a miin fii ak yu demee noonu but soo demee nga déglu project bi da ngaa ne non lii kii dafa bëgg a emphasize ne comme moom he is not perfect.
okay
man I am not perfect because fi kenn perfect bu
true
understand nga at times devil side bi daf dee mën a ñëw.
we all have demons inside us.
yenn saa yi nga nekk 100% human being mooy soo defee sa good deeds si ak yu demee noonu. soo demee si song bi loolu laa doon bëgg a xam nga jaalale foofu noonu waaw.
and ñaata songs ñoo nekk si project boobu noonu.
9 songs la woon.
and what are the numbers comme is it something loo xam ne comme dafa àgg of level boo ko doon séntu.
yeah because soo demee in terms of stream bi ak yu demee noonu egg na fan laa ko bëggee because like different song mi ngi hit different generation. ku nekk mi ngi gis sa boppa si EP bi so yeah man loolu.
te mu ngi travel tamit.
mu ngi travel yeah egg na foo xamante ne daal yóbbu na ma si bit comme example from A to B.
okay so what are you doing right now pour market sa boppa put yourself si map bi because xam naa ne bëgguloo am Gambia fii rek you want to go international like yow la nga nekk rek def to put yourself out there.
yeah right now maa ngi work on suma current project si because man suma jobee dara su passé na duma focus si loolu understand nga maa ngi work comme loo nekk di wax ni international because at the end of the day loolu tam it counts a lot as an artist xam nga fi maa ni maa ngi amee project ba laa war a ñëw drop nii mooy Maam Kaal boo gis nii project la mixtape la surprise mixtape boo xamante ne man maa toog rek am feeling bi boo ko jàllale but duration ba laa bëgg pour mu am ak suma album bi du nekk sa xëy na a maximum of 6 months.
so da nga drop mixtape which is the Maam Kaal then in between like from loolu boo ko drop ba 6 months time nga drop album.
yeah dama estimate 6 months rek it could be
less than that. boy bi ngay job de
waaw non loolu lañ fi am at the end of the day xam nga dañu am pour job.
okay so la moo inspire the Maam Kaal mixtape la moo inspire loolu.
waaw Maam Kaal
yow ndaw nga waaye yaa ngi ba pare yow you go by Kaal. yow ndaw nga waaye yaa ngi ko tuddee Maam Kaal. understand means comme nit sa maam or whatsoever la moo inspire loolu.
yeah Maam Kaal bi dama toog because soo gisee comme ma delluwaat la back si la la wax may start from 13 right now maa ngi am rek ma jaay age bi ama understand
ba tey ñaata years nga def music ñaata years
def naa lu almost like 8
years 14 15 16 yaa ngi 21 years
waaw mel naa la ko jëlee moom
21 years
yeah anyway comme look léegi maam laa si game bi
léegi maam nga dem nga ba sa loxo
because new generation bi man time ba laa doon exercise fa si bàyyi den time ma mee 13 gisuma ba kenn koo xamante ne si xale la right now nii mu ngi doon rap
ku doon def music by
then no so obviously man mun nga maa ooyee maam comme si game bi comme xam nga basically rek comme nekkuma si génération
waaye ok léegi ñoom su la yow soo jëlee loolu noonu comme nga jël loolu noonu as sa point of reference ne yow boo ko doon door right now this current generation kenn ne ko doon def music ba pare yow nga ooyee sa boppam maam léegi man su nekkoon man maa ngi si seen space maa ngi def loolu ne def et puis ma ñëw ma raw la dama ne yow sa maam yaa
waay gisuma benn ndóo bu ma raw si game bi because man sa boolewuma suma bopp si ndóo yi de ndóo yi yëpp kaa ma wax la koo ibi xolam si biir deep inside Kaal la nekk di fii ndóo yi yëpp nag comme new generation bi la
so man dama dee bëgg a wax bi mu leer xam nga man dama bëgg a fii Kaal man lu ma bëgg a understand mooy yow right now anybody kuy rap right now yow yaay maamam yaa ko daa rap
xale mag dama la ñoo jox respect because they deserve it.
ok
xam nga fu ma soo bëggee
waaw mag sam nga ko ne bro man maa la daxaloo
déedéet comme respect dama ko faa daw
respect bi dafa daw
yeah because understand nga soo bëggee earn respect you must
foog nga joxe respect you give and then you earn
waaw but at the end of the day soo ñëwee si ndóo yi man ndóo yi du ma seen morom de bro
léegi xaaral soo waxee ndóo yi who are you categorized as
ndóo yi
man I don't know man mënuma
xam nañ seen bopp
waaw léegi yow dama bëgg nga pour nga wax ma
man ma fi nekk di educate tamit man ma glace yi loolu
educate ñan nga jàppee ndóo right now
déedéet ndóo yi bëri nañ fii nii
mooy ñan
dama laa xam nga ndóo yi comme man dama wax loo xamante ne mooy fact bi yaa understand
go straight to the fact
drill la si comme dama koy jël ma generalize ko
ok am nañ drill king de
bro
Maka Bass
yaa ma merloo rek
waaw acca am nañ drill king
Maka Bass laa si game bi
ok
loolu lu am la bro yaa ma merloo rek ma xam nga
Na
maa
tànga.
ko baas maamam laa si
Okay.
game bi yeah
Okay.
because man maa ko baas man dama sayfa
ok
xam nga fu maa ni maa ko baas sayfa wut man dama batul dama tase ak ku nekk ñoo xamante ne ñoo mag suma uncle bii nii su mu nee remember there was a time ñëwoon naa fii nii comme si time yi sayfa bi that was last year if you
I
can
remember.
xam
Fii la
nga
ko mooda.
loolu it was last year so man batul na ak ku nekk
moom
yaa
moo
ma
ko
understand?
mooda.
moom moo kan Makabas.
déedéet
Non,
du
am
maa ko
na-
baas
am na
am na ñu fi ñëwoon.
different kind of people
ñoo fi
Yeah.
ñëwoon.
dama batul ba sona comme génération moo tax ma ne la ñu génération maam kaal bi tooguma rek xam nga fabriquer ko just like that they know 100% deep inside ne comme man seen maam laa
so ñoom right now dañ nekk di claim king.
ñoom seen boppam ñoo nekk di promote
di
this
claim
maam
king
kaal
di claim king di
Wow,
claim
we have a
supremacy.
video. Now we are going to play that video.
Okay, and we'll be right back.
all right then
It's Real Life Music.
Nema boy son yow fan nga toj ba nga ote jàmbar doo fi rap barki demba bila yow la yambar yàppi baby xajut si yow soo koy cob di fot yak sa nar si pot ñëpp lay got dogloo doogi doog bilaay te soo métti wut yow lay rof di soos jël la rof si poos toog di noos yak sa bëñ bu oos ma ne àll bi yàttu na gétti béy bëri neen ñi nga dog di wër di suul ni nga demal wëri leen balaa ngaa yootu góot bi bul fàtte yow la mbóot bi man fàtte wuma góot bi anta nuloo ndeyi loot bi da nga repp duga fii sa waaji mbàkk nga jàkk pàkk ma daas daxala rap pere saga la vas kaal dafa saas ñëwal tas ma kala sa gam bi góor du sa morom booy demal tànn sa mas moo yonge mbote nga naan ma góot ñeme ko fu mu jaar nga ñeme ko cuub yu overseer la sol te xaw ma yooni ba ma ko ñeme ko sa bañ ma dama ko dogo guloo boppi baby xanaa naar bi dafa dof ñeme ko fu mu jaar nga ñeme ko cuub yu overseer la sol te xaw ma yooni ba ma ko ñeme ko sa bañ ma dama ko dogo guloo boppi baby xanaa naar bi dafa dof ma jox la paaka doyut jëlal jaasi bi ma jox la jaasi doyut jëlal gon bi rey ma maa ngi nii ma génne ballon doo El Chapo jine bi ma dellu génne wiccax nga ko sàcca man la bandi bi kuy laajte ngoor a keng ki rey na ñaari nit comme ni di bàyyi ili wala si réew mi wax ma baabili cim yak sa bëñi yeloo naa ko def mu weex daf la si kaleera ngay pët pëti na naar bi dolli ñeex yokkaat sa manager DJ bagage yi over neex nga ne sa ay du jeex fi nga ma fekk man la sëñ bi peex dama la xeeb su ma son dama ragal rek ma dama la jox la benn poñ amuloo baas da nga foog rap bi ndaga la fii la fi tar rek ma fekk ko yàlla pa mel ni lama nga tegle si table tegal sa isi leen ma tabala yow lañ war a muur tey ma ceeñ sa tur def ko abi nduur amul laqatu teg la paka put naar bi tàkka tuut ñeme ko fu mu jaar nga ñeme ko cuub yu overseer la sol te xaw ma yooni ba ma ko ñeme ko sa bañ ma dama ko dogo guloo boppi baby xanaa naar bi dafa dof ñeme ko fu mu jaar nga ñeme ko cuub yu overseer la sol te xaw ma yooni ba ma ko ñeme ko sa bañ ma dama ko dogo guloo boppi baby xanaa naar bi dafa dof
bii moom leer na nañ this is called yambar.
Yeah.
waaw am nañ fi jàmbaar.
Yeah.
ok léegi bàyyi ma bàyyi la yow nga wax ma la moo inspire song bi first.
waaw noonu la rek
waaw waaye comme yow leeral ko askan bi.
yeah song bi mu ngi génn comme that was last year December la génn
ok
time bu xam nga classe bi commencé woon fii xam nga du ma ooyee loolu classe sax because am na certain songs duñ classe si man am na certain songs yoo xamante ne qualified tul pour nekk classe xam nga fa maa ngi so the reason why ma génnee lii is because attaque ndaa yow suma song nga jël suma wicca bi jël suma balondo jël ko frame ko as comme bosam xam nga fa maa ngi nii ba pare comme loolu naxariwuma honestly because man songwriter la xam nga fa maa ngi nii but xam nga def nga loolu noonu publishal ne comme lii maa ngi ko jëlee from Lil Carl understand
comme give shout
soo ko
out.
defoon rek soo ko defoon comme bro duñ fi egsi sa honestly waaye comme yaa ngi def loolu next minute bi nga dem blog ma on IG comme ministre comme yow da nga ko def deliberately pour merloo ma xam nga fi maa ngi nii loolu moo gënoon a tax ma def lii because man defuma lii for hype or buzz or whatever xam nga loolu moo taxoon ma def lii and yeah
so you just got in your feelings nga ne ok léegi man da xama woon ne man tamit ne lii dafa ma naxari.
because yow tey su ma ñëwoon ma jël tey maa boo nekkee di waxee ni ma jël ko téye ko ba pare taxaw di si wax
ok
te yaa
what
ngi
I
ko
want to
soxla
know naka la jëlee sa lyrics yi.
foofu laa doon ñëw sax léegi
naka la ko jëlee
what is the proof ne.
waaw
yow dafa sàcca from you.
because
so yaa ma bëgg a wax ne attaque sàccakat la.
yeah honestly because nu mu acté noonu foofu noonu
moo tax ma ne who is the policeman. find out the thief.
waaw moom mooy thief bi nag yaay thief bu mag bi ndaa
Okay.
saa yi noonu la fa demee jël suma song bi because man dama drop song bi prior balaa moom muy drop understand nga.
Okay.
There is a big duration comme like si man time ba laa drop. comme
Ak
period ba
moom
laa
moo
drop
ñëw.
ak moom bu mu drop.
Okay.
ba pare bu mu ñëwee amul benn difference comme like amul benn difference si man lan laa teg ak moom lu mu teg comme YouTube bagage yëpp a ngi YouTube moom lu mu drop ak man lu ma drop mi ngi YouTube mi ngi on TikTok gars yi ko dee compare understand nga.
Okay.
It's all the same amul benn difference understand nga. so loolu moom ma gënoon a merloo ma drop meru ma woon sax because man loolu yomb la woon si man tam ma doon drop lii soo seetaanee vidéo bu ñu jógee seetaan ni maa ngi koo def with pleasure maa ngi koo def with fun.
léegi yow dogguma la de waaye did you reach out to him pour clarify things because understand what I mean comme ok def na lu moo def waaye yow ndax reach out nga to him nga ne ko waa ji understand ma de lii belongs to me ba pare dama gis naa copy
loolu su ma ko
because léegi xam nga lu tax ma la te loolu léegi someone can be a fan of you mu sample sa song
Churchill
daf dee happen
man sax dama bëgg a xam lan mooy difference bi comme moom lu moo wax kii moo saaja songam what is the difference yow mun nga ñoo tegal comme pour ñu mun a xam lan mooy
waaw
difference
comme kii la jël ba pare mu sound like yow
lan la jël
comme exemple te suma ballon d'or bi comme exemple maay binda the same ballon d'or comme si song title bi one loolu rek exemple proof la xam nga fi maa ngi
but is it the different spelling from the ballon d'or
non waxuma la si spelling si sax waaye comme dama laa waxal si title si rek one ba pare si lyrics yan laa teg man ak moom compared to moom lu mu teg is all the same
mu nga ñëw jox benn line boo xam ne is similar
comme tey ballon d'or bu ñu teg
line si
déedéet taxaw na nga point line si man soxla bi man tooguma fii di wax booy sogi ndaa yi fii wala déedéet tooguma fi man am naa suma song muy ballon d'or teg naa ko gis naa keneen koo xamante ne ñëw na teg the same thing so I have the right to claim ne kii the same thing la ba pare man lii laa teg ma ne ballon d'or xam nga naka sax jox leen ma suma ballon d'or rey naa yàlla gém bi ni nga xam nga something like that that's what I put there xam nga moom the same thing moom tam mu ñëw teg xam nga di ego trip because ego trip la man du ma lay déglu songi ndaa that much honestly du ma lay déglu songi attaque pour moi maay wax ndaa rek attaque du ma lay déglu songam xam nga fi maa ngi man suma bopp laa tal understand
so how did you know about that
fii proof si fii man mi nga amee fans maa ngi amee fans so reach out to be honest with you nit moo ma ko seen fekk maa ngi jógee studio di def understand nga mu seen ma ko bëgguma woon a believe loolu sax bëgguma woon a believe bëgguma woon a dugal loolu sama bopp bi ay affaire yi gars yi xam nga waaye bu ma demee toogaat seetaanaat gis ne comme waaw nu mu frame things yi suma instrument
so right now sa relationship ak moom is all good it's all love tey su nekkoon attaque ñëw na mu ring la yow Lil Carl naka la comme dama bëgg ñu jump on a joint understand will you collaborate with him
currently yes amul problème boobu because am naa moom yàlla
Lil Carl fekk yaa ngi def foofu noonu jikko hypocrisy fekk sa xol bi nanguwut ko you know you have to be realistic as a man da ngaa ne non maa bañ du ma ko def because yow waaw so man loolu laa bëgg
su ma ñëwee pour mu oo ma collabo man su ma amee collabo pour gis ne comme attaque dafa war a tegu si son bi damaa dem ba si moom
waaw ok so now time bi jeex na there is a man here claiming that Attack stole his song you understand his lyrics
I heard that
so we want Attack to come and
Attack tam dafa war a ñëw waaw mu leeral loolu waaw su dee dëgg
moom nag daf dee beru mu téye ko saytam
so ne la bay comme ça ko waxee time nañu ba pare ñu bàyyi la nga wax sa final words pour tey because xam ne di nga ñëwaat lan lañ fi woo loo xam ne lu nga bëgg a fan si ñu dégga
but I know one thing I know for sure
no he's a star
he is
waaw kii dafa go places
man de bu mu fi ñëwee mu rap that battle thing si laa ko respect man sax xameewuma ko woon de dama gis léegi dafa transform mu change
léegi yow mun nga sign out with a freestyle
naka lay acté seen film bi di dee dama mandi si musique bu neex pour rap bi yow xoolal ma si UNICEF sa rap du tax wax ma ko si des ndeysaan da nga juutu dutul nga ndeysaan on a docteur nga tëjoon nga feetaan something like that xam nga fi ma
yeah man something like that bro
something like this if you love the shirt lyrics are bari moo tax waaw okay we have a fashion plug si Gambia everybody knows what he does Bour fashion plug he hooked me up with this shirt so for all your fashion desires link Bour fashion plug on 3730331 your Christian Dior's your Gucci Louis everything that you desire in the world of fashion Bour got you covered so the number is 3730331 and my man will hook you up till I come your way again it's goodbye.
These kids of today. This is what we have until tomorrow.
This is all we have until tomorrow.
Yes.
I keep forgetting that I was a kid once.
Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.